Welcome to the New Jersey Morning Show. I'm Mike Favetta.
And I'm Cara DeFalco. We often hear about children having to go through active shooter drills at school, but we don't necessarily think about it for ourselves.
We don't. So, here now to share some important safety tips is U.S. Marine Iraqi war veteran and retired NYPD detective, now founder and CEO of security company 360 Protective Solutions, Nelson Vergara. Nelson, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Glad you could be here. Are there any new trends in security in New Jersey that we should be aware of?
Well, as we go over the analysis for the past 5 years, uh, unfortunately, active shooter incidents have increased over the course of time. In New Jersey specifically, last year, I believe the count was about 15 confirmed active shooters, and that's just for the state. Nationwide, there was well over 700. So
Wow.
we're looking to increase the training by workshops, seminars, uh, not only through law enforcement training. They have the civilian camps that are out there for the communities, but also private practices. We like to share, how to be able to survive, such a rapidly unfolding event such as an active shooter.
Mm. And Nelson, I mean, I think the automatic reaction to something like this, or even this conversation, is, yeah, okay, if I'm a soldier or I'm a police officer, but for the average person, like, what does active shooter training entail, and why would the everyday civilian need something like that?
Well, that's a good question, and I tell people the same thing. When I train my students, I tell them, listen, there's different types of training, as you pointed out. They have the law enforcement version because they're trained to respond to such a terrible situation. But as a civilian, uh, the average person that's going to work, going to school, there's different types of training out there. So the training, for instance, that's out there that I represent, it's called the Alive program. So the Alive program follows the Homeland Security, expands off the Homeland Security training module, which is Run, Hide, Fight, and they do teach that in schools. They teach different variations depending on where you reside, but the essential training is the same: running, hiding, and fighting. But the Alive program just adds to that. So you have it's an acronym, obviously. So you're assessing. So you assess, you leave, you impede, violence, and expose. And in the training module for civilians, we expand on each of these, on each of these tactics. Things to be aware of. Situational awareness is a primary. It's a primary concern, right? Because before you enter a situation or you enter a location, like you go into a party, or a good example of that would be the Las Vegas shooting.
Mm.
Stephen Paddock, at the 91 Harvest Festival in the Mandalay Bay area.
Mm.
So, you think about, you're going to a concert, you're going to have a good time, and you don't know, you hear these sounds that you're not even sure if it's part of the concert. Maybe it's fireworks, and then unfortunately, you start seeing people falling down right next to you, around you, and you don't know what's going on. So, what we teach is, how do you respond to that? How do you prepare for that? So having how to have that mindset, that pre-developed mindset. That's what we teach our students, and that's what we teach civilians, to prepare for the worst.
Mm.
Expect the best, but that's really what it boils down to.
Now, Nelson, your company, 360 Protective Solutions, has two programs that are taught. Can you tell us a bit about each of them?
Sure. So again, as I mentioned before, going back to the whole active shooter mindset, the preparedness part of it, we teach a course. We believe that these two programs they work well with each other. One is the situational awareness specialist program. It was designed by the Arcuri Group. They've been around for several years, and talking about the subject matter experts in situational global situational awareness. So it to expand, there is situational awareness. People are like, well, what is that? And situational awareness is how to recognize your environment, how to recognize what you see, and not don't disavow it, don't let it go. It's recognizing patterns. It's your everyday things that people don't even think about. I'll give you an example. uh, if you go into a store every day, in New Jersey, you're going to go to a store, and you go through the same store every single day, like clockwork. Have you really noticed which way the door opens when you go in and when you go out? You don't really think about it because you're thinking, well, I'm going into the store or I'm leaving the store, but you're not really thinking about it. Sometimes you get jammed up. When was the last time you go into a door? You're going to go into an establishment, and sometimes you get locked up trying to figure out, how do I get into this building, or how do I exit this building? Oh, I was supposed to push instead of pulling. That's in a relaxed situation. Now you add the active shooter component, and you're trying to leave as quickly as possible. And that door can be life or death to you, because you haven't had the recognition. And that's where the situational awareness specialist program allows you to expand on that. So it kind of fine tunes your level of awareness to the point where you don't even think about it. It becomes second nature to you. And the active shooter program is the second part that I teach from the Alive program. Michael Julian is the creator and developer of the program, and I've taken up pretty much every active shooter program there is. Um, but out of all of them, I believe the Alive program works best, because not only do I teach it, I've also been I've also been on the receiving end of an active shooter incident. So I myself as am a survivor.
Absolutely incredible. And again, it is something that we don't think about, and for good reason. We don't want to. But Nelson, what motivated you then to start teaching these courses as part of your business, and what do you hope your students gain from it?
So what I hope that the students gain is just having the survival instinct, being able to re-empower themselves. Because as we see, unfortunately, laws, the laws of man unfortunately are not always in the favor of civilians. So civilians start to get, we as citizens, we start getting nervous, if we go to a store, or if we're going to take public transportation, if we're trying to go home, we're trying to go to school. you know, how do we prepare ourselves? And I think that it's not talked enough, and there's only so much that law enforcement and those governing authorities can do to protect the communities. I think that we have to kind of be able to take care of ourselves, and just having that situational knowledge, that situational awareness, to be able to uh, have as Michael Julian from the Alive program, he coined this. It's called proactive reactionism, being able to anticipate without actually anticipating.
Mm.
And that's what I hope to provide students, that familiarization. And from there, their personal environments, they can expand on that, because it's not something that they can, they share at work. It's something that they're going to take with them for the rest of their lives, whether they're on vacation or not. So, and I'm very passionate about it because, um, again, as I said before, I've been a survivor. I've been on the other end of it. So, as a skilled operator that I used to be back when I was younger, it was very rapid, the situation, between, being deployed, in combat, and getting into a firefight, in front of my house, during off duty, while off duty, those things kind of put things into perspective really, really quickly, because it's a life or death situation, and you have to take that into account, because you have family, and you have a whole future ahead of you. So, you know, those things are things that I was thinking about. And even though the shooting took, you know, probably maybe 30 seconds, it
Mm,
felt like a lifetime.
I'm sure.
And that to me was like, well, I need to share this because if I've been versed in this and I had a difficult time surviving it, I survived it, thank goodness, but I still, had to deal with it. What about the average person that's not trained? So I have to share this. I have to share this information. So I don't mind talking about it. It took me a long time to get over it, but I started, providing experience, sharing experiences at the police academy, at different precincts throughout the New York City area, as well as just sharing it with students during the active shooter program and the situational awareness.
Nelson,
Well,
where can we
Nelson,
find out more about 360 Protective Solutions?
So if you want to find out more, you can go to our website at 360protectivesolutions.com. You can always give us a call at 347-450-2021, and we operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Great. Nelson Vergara, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Again, he's founder and CEO of 360 Protective Solutions. Thanks so much and have a great weekend.
Thank you so much. Likewise, stay safe, everyone.
Mike, it's such it's just one of those things that we always want to put out of our minds. But I do think he's right on that. If people are more aware, if they have that little bit of education, I mean, you and I have been in news for decades at this point, and even more so, between the both of us. And how many times have we heard that story of, oh, it was that one civilian that kept their wits about them, that did know what to do, that changed the entire situation.
sure. And I think it's so important, especially, in Nelson's case, having that experience abroad, serving our country abroad, but also now serving here at home, just in our own backyard. That's
Yes.
something that speaks volumes. That there's companies out there and there's individuals right here in New Jersey that are making that difference and want better outcomes in these unfortunate situations in the future. So that's really great.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, you can always catch your favorite clips online at onj.com.